For our do now today, I just had you guys look at this worksheet and run through doing as many of these problems as you could in the time period I gave you. So let's start by looking at number 1. Okay, so first step, should I do this off? It's gonna bug me. Let's always start. If we're feeling unsure where to start, I always like to label everything. I like to say, well, I don't know where to go, so let's say what I do know. When we have a quadratic expression like we do here, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So why don't we start by labeling our a, b, and c? So I have x squared. What would that make my a? 1. So I'll write a equals 1. Then I have plus 13x. What's my b?
13.
Good. b is 13. And then I have plus 36. What's my c?
36.
Good. My c is 36. Now, I just realized I'm probably going to run out of room here. So I'm going to rewrite this problem on my page below because I like to write a little bigger. My problem was x squared plus 13x plus 36. Okay. And I'll rewrite my ABC. X 1, B is 13, C is 36. All right. So whenever we are trying to factor or find the two items that multiply to create this, what is my answer going to look like? What should I start with creating first?
Factoring 36.
Say that again.
Factoring 36.
Factoring 36, yes. We are going to be factoring 36. What's my answer format going to look like?
Parentheses.
Yes. Whenever we're factoring a quadratic expression, we know that our answer is going to be x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. So we like to start by just making those parentheses with the x and some blank space to put our answer. Am I really? Girl, glad you said something. I am recording.
Oh,
Okay, I was scared we missed all that. All right, good deal. It's always good to check. Okay, so now we're going to do exactly what Max says. We need to find all the numbers that can multiply to 36. So I'm going to start by making a little T chart. Remember, I'm finding the factors of 36 here.
1 times 36.
Yeah, I could do 1 times 36. What else could I do? 2 and 18.
3 times 12.
3 times
4
12.
times 9.
4 times 9.
46. Well, you can stop there.
Yeah, we could stop there. 6 and 6. Yeah, we could stop there. So now I've got a nice little list of all the factors of 36, all the numbers that I could multiply together to come up with that number 36. What should I do now with this list to figure out which numbers I'm going to use?
You have to add the two numbers together to equal b.
Yes. So I want to see what happens if I add each of these together. And I'm going to know which numbers to use once the addition problem comes out to be b, or 13. So I'm going to rewrite over here b equals 13. I need it to be 13. So let's just start one by one. What's 1 plus 36?
37.
37. What's 2 plus 18? 20. That's
15.
not. 3 plus 12 is 15. 4 plus 9.
13.
Ah, guys, that's it. 4 and 9. 13. So now that I found the numbers that add up to my B or 13, what am I going to do with these numbers?
They're both positive numbers, so it'll be a plus sign in front of both.
Yes, these are both positive numbers, positive 4, positive 9. So I'm going to move them over to my parentheses with a plus sign. Plus 4, plus 9. And that's my answer.
I got that one.
Good. Good job, guys. So, okay, I'm glad you said that. Did anybody instead get x plus 9 times x plus 4? If you did, this is also correct. Both of these are right. So it doesn't matter what order it's in, as long as your numbers are correct and your signs are
For some
correct.
reason, I decided to keep going down the list.
No, you're good. That's perfect. Either one is perfect. Any questions about number 1? Yes.
Not really necessarily about number 1, but is there going to be a quadratic expression that 8 doesn't equal 1?
Oh, yeah.
So we're just doing the basic right, so it's going to get harder?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's gonna get a little trickier, I know, but I'm gonna make sure we feel really good about this before we go to the next step. So we're gonna do some more practice with this today. I'm thinking we'll move to that next step. Maybe today. But we're going one little thing at a time. I'm gonna break it down each time and I'm gonna remind you all the new steps. It's really not as scary as it sounds. It's not, promise. Just like I bet you factoring this sounded terrifying at first.
Yeah.
And y'all are doing it. Yeah, you've been doing it. Like you just saw me write this out and this still looks scary. But we did it. We did it. Okay, let's try the second one. Second one's a little tricky. I have x squared minus 81. Okay.
A is 1, B is 0.
Yes, girl. Yes. So let's label our A, B, and C first. My A is 1. My B, oh, I don't have a number with X. Yeah, so that means our B is 0. So if I had x squared plus 0x minus 81, when I take 0 times anything, it makes it disappear. So if there is no middle term, no x term, your B is 0. So B is 0. Perfect. C is negative 81. All right. So now we have our A, B, and C. What should we do next? Yes, yes. Let's go ahead and make our parentheses. I know that my answer needs to be x plus or minus something times x plus or minus something. So I like to start with those parentheses so I don't get lost and forget. And what should I do now? Yes, I want to find all the factors of negative 81. So whenever we have a negative number we're trying to find factors of, what do my factors need to look like? What signs should they have? Yes, I need to have 1. Say it again.
Negative 9 plus 9.
That's a good one. We can try negative 9 plus 9. So we need to have a negative number and a positive number. Either way, we could have a negative 9 and a positive 9. We could have like a negative 1 and a positive 81. A positive 1, a negative 81. Doesn't matter as long as one's negative, one's positive. So Kenesha told me negative 9 and positive 9. We don't always have to go in order. Now, whenever we're coming up with factors, the more practice you guys get with doing these, the quicker your brain is going to start being able to recognize which numbers you're going to need. It's going to be something that becomes second nature, and it's funny because really, the more you do it, you're going to surprise yourself. It'll start to feel easier. So negative 9 and 9, they multiply to negative 81. Let's add them. What's negative 9 plus positive 9? 0. And guys, our B was 0.
Boom.
So that's our answer. Look at that. So what do I do with negative 9 and positive 9? Yes, put them in the parentheses. You could either do x plus 9 and x minus 9, or x minus 9 and x plus 9. It doesn't matter what order, as long as you have both a plus and a minus here. So that's your answer. Any questions about number 2? Okay, let's try number 3. Number 3, we have x squared minus x, thank you, minus 30. And I'm going to shift this down so my paper's not flying off the table. Okay, x squared minus x minus 30. What's our A, B, and C?
1, A, 1.
Good.
What is it?
Ooh, let's check our B. Do we include our x in our B? Yes, you got it, girl. So if we have a negative x, that just means that we have a 1 in front of our x, but it's negative. So B is negative 1. Good job, guys. Good. And C is negative 30. Okay, so we know our A, B, and C. Get it, Michael. Okay. Let's go ahead and write our parentheses with our x's, because we know that's what our answer is going to look like. Yeah, and then we need to find the factors of negative 30 for C. So let's make a list. Factors of negative 30. And I'm going to remind myself just by rewriting it. My B is negative 1. That's what I want my factors to add to when I add them together. So what are some factors of negative 30?
2 times 15.
1
1 times 30. 3 times 10.
Now let's check our signs.
I don't do it that way. I add it at the end. I don't know why, but I still do it. Get the same answer.
Okay, so what do you do different? I'm curious.
I factor like normal. I don't even use the negative sign. I know that my numbers are negative. And after I get all my factors, I just put one negative in front of one of the numbers.
Okay, so you just write out like, okay, 2
Regular
and
factors,
15,
because it's too much to
3
like,
and 10.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what? If you want to be able to keep that negative sign in your brain, if that works for you, absolutely, that's fine. Totally. But if you are somebody, and you know this about yourself, that if you don't write the negative in your work, you'll lose it later, then write the negative, okay? You got to know yourself and know what's going to mess you up and what's not. If you think that not writing your negatives will mess you up, write them, please. I'm somebody that it'll mess me up, so I got to write my negatives because I will lose my brain. But if that works for you, great. That's awesome. If you're getting the right answers, then clearly it'll be great.
It kind of like, it don't confuse you, but it's like another step, I guess,
Right,
for some people.
right.
It's like,
I get you. Yeah, if putting a negative in your factors is confusing you, then, do what works for you. Absolutely. Okay, so 2 and 15, 3 and 10. Yeah, we got 5 and 6. There's some. Okay, we could stop there. Let's add, I'm going to say 15 minus 2 is 13. 10 minus 3 is 7.
6 positive 1.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it at the end.
So here's a trick for you. Here's a
That's
trick for you guys. Let's say you get to this part of your factors. You did negative 5 plus positive 6, and you get a positive 1. You got the right number for B, but it's not the right sign. I want a negative 1. All you would need to do then is switch the signs. Now I want a 5 and a negative 6. And that will give me my negative 1.
Boom. That's why I do it at the end.
Yeah. And if that works for you, perfect. That's awesome.
Boom.
Okay, so that means this is our answer. 5 and negative 6. So how am I going to put that in my parentheses?
Plus 5.
Yes. Plus 5 minus 6. Good job. And circle it. Always be in that habit, circling your answers. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Any questions about number 3? Or does anyone want to share maybe a mistake they made or something they did really well? I always love hearing your guys' thoughts. Unless we're just ready to move on. We ready to move on? Okay. Let's try number 4. Yeah. So number 4 was x squared plus 4x minus 21. Okay. Our A is 1. Our B is what? 4. Good. What's our C? Negative 21. Perfect. And we're going to find the factors of what?
21. Negative 21.
Of negative 21. Awesome, awesome. So, what are some of those factors?
Negative 1 times 21.
Negative 1 and 21.
Negative 3 times 7.
Negative 3, 7, or 7 and negative 3, or hang on, negative 3. My lord, I can't speak. Negative 3 and 7, or negative 7 and 3.
Oh.
I'm looking at this right now and I'm thinking, okay, I know 7 and 3 and 4 are like related. For some reason in my brain, those numbers go together. Because I know 3 and 4 make 7, right? We can start to recognize little things like that. 7 minus 3 is 4. Oh my goodness. Our B is 4. So let's look at these. What is negative 3 plus 7 or 7 minus 3?
4.
4. That's our answer. Amen. So how am I going to write my answer in the parentheses?
X equals negative 3 plus 7. Oh, wait, X negative 7.
Yeah, and if you were it the other way, that's good too. You could do X plus 7 and X minus 3, or you could do X minus 3 and X plus 7. Both of them work.
Oh, no, that's already
Say it again.
You do the other one, so turn to negative.
So
But you can switch the signs. So.
what maybe you misheard me. What I meant is you can either have X minus 3 and X plus 7,
okay.
or X plus 7 and X minus 3.
Okay, yeah.
You can't have X plus 3 and X minus 7, because that would give you a negative, just like you said. All right. Both of these answers are right.
Splendid.
Good. All right, guys. Any questions about those?
But we're going up and where I do have questions.
Okay. So let's open the floor. We've done 4 together. Now, before we get on to anything tougher, here's the deal. I'm going to be really transparent with you guys today. The plan today is to get to where we feel good about doing factoring where A equals 1. Then we're going to move forward and do some where A is bigger than 1.
Okay.
We're going to do some of those. So before we get to that part, I want you guys to tell me, let's look at this worksheet for now. You tell me which of these questions you would like for me to go over with you.
6 and 7.
6 and 7, okay. 6 and 7. Does anybody still need this work? Can I move it? Okay, I'm going to go through and circle some of the ones we really want to look
I'm
at.
going to sharpen this while we're doing that.
Yeah, go for it.
Splendid.
Okay, so 6 we want to look at, 7 we want to look at. Any others that we were struggling with, guys?
Yes.
Any others?
If you like ginger ale.
I love ginger ale, but it's the black part, the black cherry, I think.
Okay, just 6 and 7 for now? Okay, we'll look at those. And I'm going to let you finish sharpening, Tasha. I'm going to label my notes.
Can you go over number 22?
Number 20, absolutely. I'll circle that. So this is algebra.
Number 11 also.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I did all
Algebra
my-
2,
Just
factoring.
And
And this is day 6. Okay. Moving that. Now we're going to do page 3. Okay, so number 6, 7, 11, and 20. Let's start with number 6. Number 6 on this worksheet was x squared minus 9x plus 18. Perfect. Okay, so let's start by labeling our A, B, and C. A is 1. What's our B?
Negative 9.
Good, negative 9. What's our C?
18.
18. Good. So which number are we going to start finding factors of?
18.
18. That's our C. So I'm going to write out to the side. Factors of 18. Now, if you remember back to the multiplication rules with negatives and positives that we talked about before starting this worksheet, when we have a positive answer that we're looking for the factors of, we have 2 options. We could either have a positive number times a positive number, or we could have a negative number times a negative number. Those are both going to give us positive answers. Since our B is negative, we're probably going to be multiplying some negative numbers. Okay, so I'm going to write my D out to the side just to remind myself that my goal is to find numbers that multiply to 18 and add to negative 9. Our numbers have to have the same sign. Can I ever add 2 positive numbers and get a negative answer? No. So let's not even mess with positive numbers for factors. Let's go ahead and just start with negatives. What 2 negative numbers can I multiply together to make 18?
Negative 1.
Negative 1 times negative 18.
Negative
Negative 2 times negative 9. What else?
3 times negative 6.
Negative 3 times negative 6. And guys, I'm doing some of this addition in my head. I know 3 plus 6 is 9. So why don't we double check? What's negative 3 plus negative 6?
Negative
9.
Negative 9. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. So what is our answer going to be? What do we write in our parentheses?
Negative 3. Negative 3.
Yeah, x minus 3 and x minus 6. So remember, if your B is negative, your factors have to have some negatives in there. You're not ever going to add 2 positive numbers and get a negative answer. It just won't happen. Doesn't matter what the numbers are. Can't be done. That's a rule. Tasha, does that clear this one up a little?
That
Good.
clears up 6 and 7.
Good.
Lord.
Okay. Do you still want to go through 7?
That's like 11 also.
We can still go through just in case.
Well, we have everybody else can go ahead and get theirs. I understand now.
Okay.
I see exactly where.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Okay, guys. There's number 6. Now let's look at number 11. Number 11 is going to be a similar case. We've got a negative B and a positive C. So 11 is x squared minus 16x plus 63. Let's look at our A, B, and C. What's our A? 1. What's our B?
Negative 16.
Good, negative 16. What's our C? 63. Okay. And I'm actually going to grab a multiplication chart for this one. because I've been seeing some of you guys use these to help you find your factors, and I never even told you to do that. That's so smart. That's like such a good way to do it. Okay, so what number are we finding factors of? Okay, 63. Factors of 63. So we have a positive 63. So remember, the factors we find need to add up to b, which is negative 16. Will two positive numbers ever add to a negative? No. So our factors need to be negative numbers. Okay? So let's think about what we can multiply together to get 63. Okay, yeah, I've got 9. And if I take it times 7, I get 63. So -9, -7. Okay.
21.
Say it again.
3 and 21.
3 is 21. Any other ideas? Let me see if I can find 63 anywhere else on here. 9 and 7. I don't know, man. 7 and 9 again. I don't know. Let's mess with these. What is -9 plus -7? Oh my gosh. -16 on the first try, guys. Yeah. Okay, so if -9 and -7 equal my b, which it does, -16, what's my answer going to be?
X minus 9, X minus 7.
Good. X minus 9 times X minus 7. Or X minus 7 times X minus 9. It doesn't matter what order you put it in as long as your signs are correct. Perfect. Any questions about number 11? Okay. The last one that we wanted to go over, perfect timing. So Mac, 11 was one that you requested and we just ran through it. It was just like number 6.
I got it.
You got it?
I just want you to have more things to figure out.
You got it. Okay, how about number 20? Does anybody feel like they would still like to go through number 20, or do we feel pretty cleared up after? Let's do it. Why not? Okay, number 20. We have x squared plus x minus 42. Okay, let's label our A, B, and C. Our A is 1. Our B is 1, yeah.
C is -42.
C is -42. So guys, whenever we are finding factors of a negative number, we can only have pairs of numbers where one is positive, one is negative. Doesn't matter which one comes first, we just have to have different signs on those numbers. So factors of -42.
-1 times 42.
-1 times 42.
-2 times 21.
2 and 21.
-6, 7.
-6 and 7.
Stop there.
Yeah, let's stop there. Okay, what's our goal again?
1.
Yeah, we want to get to B when we add, which is 1.
-6 plus 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we say that we know -6 plus 7 does equal 1, what if we didn't get there yet? What if we had -7 and +6 first? And I added these and I got a -1. Remember, guys, if I have factors where one is negative, one is positive, yes, exactly, and I get the answer I want, but with the wrong sign, like I need a 1, but I got a -1, just switch the signs. Instead of 7 being negative, let's make 6 the negative. Instead of 6 being positive, let's make 7 positive. And that's going to fix our answer. 7 minus 6 is 1. That's what we wanted. So what's our answer here?
X
minus seven.
Good. X minus 6 times x plus 7. Or x plus 7 times x minus 6. Good. Okay, guys, any other questions? Are we feeling okay about this? Do we feel like we might be ready to try one where A is not 1?
Yes.
Y'all want to try? Okay, it won't hurt to try. Let's try. Okay, guys, does anybody still need this? Can I tear it out? I'm gonna tear it out. All right, let's start. Notes. We're gonna make a guide as we go along. So I'm gonna label my page. You guys have a minute because I like to title everything, and that takes a moment. This is algebra. And quadratic. And this is page 4. Till day 6. Now, you guys don't necessarily have to write down everything I'm writing, especially for the title. This is just for me to stay organized whenever I put my notes away. But you're welcome to do it as well.
During time for this.
Yes, it is nice to be able to go back and say like, oh, on day 6, I know we did all this, so I'm just gonna look for all the pages with day 6 on it, you know? It helps, it really does. Okay, let me pull out my little cheat sheet I made. So I teach it correctly.
Are we allowed to have one of these folders down here?
Yes, absolutely. So those folders, you guys are welcome to take them as many as you need.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Riri, we have one? I don't even know.
I swear, if you let the paper disappear. You can use it so much.
I know it. All right, guys. So let's make a guide together. So we're gonna make like a step-by-step guide here. And I'm gonna call this how to factor quadratics and my little subtitle is gonna be when A is greater than 1. So this is for whenever A is bigger than 1. That leading coefficient. So whenever I make these guides, I like to always rewrite to remind myself what a quadratic expression is. And that's going to be our A x squared plus B x plus C. And I am always going to highly encourage to make your notes colorful. It makes it, at least in my opinion, you may not agree and that is okay. But for me, whenever my notes have colors, it really helps me to decipher what I'm looking at when I go back. And then it's not just a bunch of words on a page. I know like, oh, my A, B, and C are what's going to change here because they're green, you know. So I'm always going to suggest you to make things colorful. I find it helps, but you know, if it doesn't help you, you don't have to. Everybody's different. So whenever we make this guide, I want to give an example problem as we go. So here's our example.
I didn't mean to. People got wrong like that.
We good back there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Okay. Like, man, we're getting heated in the back of the room. Okay, here's our example. Let's do 2x squared plus 8x plus 6. So here's our example. First, let's identify what our A, B, and C are. So what's our A here? 2. Good. A is 2. What's our B? 8. What's our C?
6.
6. Good. So, step 1. Let's write this out to the side. We are going to start by checking for what we call GCF. Anybody know what GCF means? Y'all, good job. Greatest common factor. We'll talk about what that means. So we're going to check for GCF between A, B, and C. So what does that mean? Does anybody know what greatest common factor means? Can you explain it to us?
That number that can go with the envelope.
Yes, yes. All that means is we want to see if there are any numbers that would fit into 2, 8, and 6.
2.
2. They're all even numbers. We could divide all of them by 2. So if there is a GCF, this is still step 1. Factor it out first, and I'll show you how we do that. So I'm going to do is I'm going to write a 2 under each of my terms. I'm going to point to it. Say all terms are divisible by 2. So all we're going to do is divide each of these by 2. So 2x squared divided by 2, what's that going to do?
1 squared. 4 squared.
So I'm dividing, not multiplying.
1.
Yeah, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it cancels it out. This is going to become x squared.
Oh.
Yeah, not too bad, guys. Now, how about 8x divided by 2?
4.
Yeah, 8 divided by 2 is 4x. And what is 6 divided by 2? 3. And guys, that looks like something we know how to factor, huh?
Yes,
Now
so
we
that,
can-
from that point, you do what we already learned.
Yes, except there is one last little step that we have to do. So whenever I looked up different kind of guides for the best way to keep track of a quadratic expression, whenever you have to factor out your GCF first, they always say to get to here, the x squared plus 4x plus 3, do your factoring, and then add the GCF back at the end. Personally, I know that I would lose it. I would forget it. I would not add it back at the end. So instead of doing that, I would keep track of it by putting it over here. So I divided everything by 2 to get x squared plus 4x plus 3. So I know if I put it in parentheses and I multiply everything by 2, I'll get back to my original expression. So we want to keep track of this factor because it's going to be in our answer. So I want to put everything in parentheses and put that 2 out to the side. So I'm going to label this GCF. You want to put your GCF outside the parentheses. So now we move to step 2. First of all, we have a new A, B, and C. So we should label those. Step 2. My A is what? What's my A now? 1. Good. What's my B? 4. What's my C? 3. Good. So for step 2, I want to now factor the new expression inside the parentheses. And I'm going to write here with a little star, don't lose your GCF. That is important. It's part of your answer. And I think at this point, some of you could probably factor this in your head. But just in case, let's write it out. Okay. So to factor x squared plus 4x plus 3, what do I need to do? What'd you say? Multiply what?
X squared to 4x.
So remember, whenever we're factoring, we are just doing like this, what we did before. We have a quadratic expression and we're trying to get to the answer x plus 4 or x plus something, x minus something. Yeah, so we need to figure out what are we going to find the factors of first.
3.
Our C term.
Oh,
So 3. Yes, so you're right.
1 times 3.
Let's write that. Yeah, and that's it. Your only option is 1 times 3, but I'm still going to write it out. I know some of you missed yesterday. I don't want to go too fast. Factors of 3. We got 1 times 3, and that's your only option. And 1 plus 3 sure is what? 4. 1 plus 3 is 4. Our B is 4. That's what we wanted. So that's our answer here. How am I going to write my answer?
In parentheses, you're going to put x plus 1 times x plus 3.
Good. X plus 1 and x plus 3. And what's the last thing I'm missing here?
Your greatest common factor.
Yes, your GCF or your greatest common factor. So just make sure that you write it on the outside. That's all you do different. You just add it to the edge. It's not so scary, guys. I promise you. There is a lot of work. It's a lot of steps. So that's why in Algebra 2, it is so important. If you miss a day of class, you have to watch the lesson video.
Yeah.
If you don't, you are going to be so lost. And I cannot help you get found if we don't go back and look what you missed. it's a very involved class. Like, it builds on itself so much. So that's sadly the reality of it. You know, in other classes, it's easier to catch up. But if you missed a few lessons, you need to go back and watch them, and then you will understand this so much more. Okay.
Yeah.
But this would be our answer. That's it. It's not so bad. Not so bad. Okay. Let's do another one together. And then I'm gonna let you guys go to lunch after we do the second example. Which, oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I get you, girl. Okay, so example again. Make another example. What if I had 5x squared plus 10x plus, I gotta come up with one that works. Tough to do in your head.
20.
Let me think. 20. I gotta think of the factors.
25.
My brain.
30.
Let me look at, I have a worksheet. I don't want to accidentally get too far in and then it not work.
I think 30 will work.
It probably would work. But I want to be certain. Let's do, Manny, none of these gonna start with 5 for real. Because if I divide by 5 here, I'm thinking out loud, guys. If I divide by 5, I'm going to have a middle term of 2. So I need a number that is divisible by 5 and its factors can add to 2. That's a big mental process.
20? 25.
25. If I divide it by 5, it's 5. And then I can only do 5 and 1, so that one wouldn't work.
Negative 35?
Negative 30.
Oh, y'all tearing my brain up.
Yeah, I'm trying to already.
My head hurts. You're making my head hurt, guys. Okay. Let me just. You think negative 35 will work? I don't know. Let's try it. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, then we just are not going to do it because I don't want to teach you that next step just yet. Not yet. Okay. So, what's my A? 5. What's my B? 10. What's my C? Negative 35. Okay, what's my step 1? What do I do?
One of your greatest common factors.
Yeah, let's find our GCF, our greatest common factor. Is there a greatest common factor here?
5.
Yeah. Our GCF is 5. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. And before I forget it, I'm going to write it over here. What's 5 divided by 5? 1. So that leaves me with x squared plus 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5. You got it. That's okay.
No, that does not.
Not gonna work.
Not going to work?
No.
Man. Okay, well.
Yeah, negative 7 minus 1. Yeah, that equals to 6. Negative 6. So that's not right.
Drop a number.
Would it have to be a
What's
negative
the
10
problem?
positive 35?
Yeah, you're trying to come up with 2, right? You gotta come up with 2. That's not gonna be.
Negative 10 and
Positive 35?
positive 35? Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, what if we make this a negative 10? Guys, I'm sorry. This is miserable if you're confused.
Negative 2.
Bear
So
with
it
me.
would be a negative 2.
Yeah, negative 2x. And let's see, plus 7.
Oh, yeah.
Does that work? I'm trying to do that in my brain.
Oh, yeah.
No.
7. No, that don't work either. All right, you know what, guys? That's okay. I'm going to let you go to lunch. I'll have some real examples for you after lunch. Don't even worry about that. That's why I shouldn't try to make them up on the spot. Food time. All right, let's pause this recording. I'll see you guys after lunch. All right, lunch is over. Guys, hopefully you got your bellies full. let's look back at what we were doing the first half of class. We started talking about factoring quadratic expressions whenever our first term, that leading coefficient A, is a number bigger than 1. In all of our previous examples, we would have just x squared by itself because it was 1 for A, but now we're looking at numbers that are larger than 1. So here was those steps we reviewed. And I just handed you guys a worksheet packet like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by looking at number 1 on that worksheet. And hopefully, I'm going to try to do it on the worksheet. Maybe I have given myself enough room this time. Let's see. If not, I'll move it to paper. All right, guys. So number 1 on our worksheet, we have 4x squared plus 12x plus 8. First of all, let's identify what our A, B, and C are. So what's A? 4. What's B? Good. And what's C? 8. Wonderful. So remember, whenever our A is bigger than 1, the first thing we want to do is check if A, B, and C have a greatest common factor. Do they?
4.
Let's see, yeah. I can divide 4 by 4. I can divide 12 by 4. And I can divide 8 by 4. A good rule of thumb is to start with just looking at whatever your A is and seeing if you can divide all the other terms by A. So let's do that. Let's divide 4x squared divided by 4, 12x divided by 4, and 8 divided by 4. So we're going to rewrite our new quadratic expression. But we're going to put our greatest common factor on the outside of a set of parentheses here. So,
4 divided by 4 is 1.
good. Yeah, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So that leaves us with x squared. And what's 12 divided by 4? 3. So I've got 3x. And what's 8 divided by 4? 2. Good. So now I have a new quadratic expression inside my parentheses. X squared plus 3x plus 2. So now we just need to think about our factors of C, which in this case is going to be really easy because 2 only has one set of factors. Factors of C, or 2. So what numbers can I multiply to get to? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. What's 1 plus 2? 3. And that's our B, guys. Our B in this case is 3. So those are the numbers we're going to use. What should our answer look like?
Parentheses x.
Yes, 2 sets of parentheses with x's in both parentheses.
Plus 1
Yep, x plus 1 because we have a positive 1.
times parenthesis x plus 2.
Yes, times parentheses x plus 2. Now the only difference here is you must not forget to keep your GCF, that greatest common factor, on the outside. It's 4. That's what we took out at the beginning. That's your answer. That's the only difference, is the first step is to first find the number that's divisible, or find the number that you can divide all of your terms by, and put it on the outside of your parentheses. All right, before we move on to another one, any questions about this first one here?
I'm lost.
Sure. Okay, so let's look at the beginning of our problem, where we have 4x squared plus 12x plus 8. Can you tell me, and thank you for saying you're lost, because I bet you're not the only one. Can you tell me from this beginning part of our expression, at what point do you think I have no idea what's going on? The beginning where we found a 4?
No, I get that part.
Okay, so you get that part.
I get that part. Like after that,
Are you confused about how we got x squared plus 3x plus 2? Okay, great, thank you. Let's talk about it, guys. If you get this part, Awesome. Please don't shout out and tell me things too quickly because we're gonna run through this slowly to make sure we all get it. So let's look at this again. Number one.
Instead of multiplying what the other one we divide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I'll explain that one more time. Whenever we find the biggest number that goes into all of these numbers, meaning I can divide them all by this number, 4, all I'm going to do is divide them all by 4. So 4x squared divided by 4, I know 4 divided by 4 is 1. So that's going to leave me with 1x squared. But we don't have to write the 1. So then I did 12 divided by 4, which is 3. And I kept my x. And then 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that's how we got this little expression in the parentheses. And then we put the 4 on the outside to help us remember that we took this 4 out of all those. Thank you for asking that, really. I love it when you guys ask questions because I have no way of knowing you're lost if you don't tell me. Does anybody else feel lost and they want to talk about it?
Further down.
Further down? So which part? Are we talking about the same problem still?
No, it's, that's what I'm saying, further down.
Further down the page?
Yes.
Number 5.
Okay, let's look at it then. Number 5.
Yes.
Where's 5? Here it is. Okay, number 5. Let's see.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me put this here. We got something different happening in number 5. Okay, so first, because our A is not 1, we need to figure out what the greatest common factor is here. So what's the biggest number I can divide all these numbers by?
6.
6. Let's see. So I've got 12 divided by 6, and that would give me what? That would give me 2x squared. And then 30 divided by 6 is 5x. 18 divided by 6 is 3.
Plus 3.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're in a little bit of a pickle. Because we still have a 2 attached here. So we do have another step here. And my plan for you guys today was just to make sure you feel good about the ones where we can factor out all of them, getting down to A equals 1. But let's talk about this one. Why not? I'll show it to you. But if you aren't to this point yet, that's okay. Let me pull out my notes because I want to make sure I tell it to you correctly. And I'm going to pause this while I look for that paper real quick. I did a bunch of these last night while I was messing around with them. I'm in. All right, so we're here. We divided everything by 6. I'm going to repeat it for people that aren't here just in case. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So here's how we got to this point. Now I'm going to put a 6 over here. Ooh. Let's see. So, what's our A
12.
of our new
2.
expression? 2. Good. So our A is now 2. Our B is what? 5. And our C is
3.
3.
Paper.
Say it again.
Can I get a paper?
A new paper? Yeah. I need to come up with a different phrase besides say it again. I feel like I catch myself saying that so many times. I'm like annoying myself. I swear. All right. Just page 1, or do you need all 3?
I only messed up the first page.
Okay. I'll just give you a new first page then, if that's all right. Does anybody not have a worksheet packet? Making sure nobody came in late or something. All right. Here we go. Can you pass this back? Thank you. All right. That's that to Abby. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. So, normally, whenever we are factoring a quadratic expression and our A is equal to 1, we're going to have an answer that looks like x, and I'm writing this on a separate page because I don't want it on my answer yet. We normally have x plus or minus something and x plus or minus something, okay? Whenever we have a number in front, like a 2, that we can't get rid of, there's no more greatest common factors here, that's going to show up in our answer. Instead of x and x, we'll have a 2x for one of them and an x for the other. Because 2x times x is 2x squared. So remember, we're just breaking these down. We're finding factors or numbers that multiply to our original expression here. So the reason we would always have an x and an x in parentheses is because we're trying to get to x squared originally. Now we're trying to get to 2x squared. So we need a 2x and an x. Now here's where it's going to matter which parenthesis you put which number in. So we've got our answer format. Let's talk about our factors of C. Luckily, our C is 3, so there's only one option. But really, there's kind of two options, actually. Let's talk about that. We've got 1 and 3 or 3 and 1.
Okay.
Now, whenever we have an A that is not 1, these are not going to add up to 5. They're not going to add up to B. Because there's a 2 in here that's going to affect the overall answer. And we're going to get so much more in depth about this later on, I promise, guys. If your brain is messing with you right now, it's okay. We're going to go through this process so many times it will make sense.
X plus 3.
So we really need to actually check a few answers. Our possible answers are, I'm going to write this twice. We could either have 2x plus 1 and x plus 3, or we could have 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Now we have to figure out which one is the right factored answer, and I'm going to show you how we do that. Some of you might already figure it out, and that's awesome. Let's talk about how we can figure it out. So what we need to do is figure out which of these is going to give us the middle term of 5x. And to figure that out, this is what we'll do. We're going to make a rainbow. Okay? I'm going to connect my last and my first term here. And I'm going to connect my middle terms. Okay. What is 2x times 3? 6x. What's 1 times x? 1x, or x. 6x plus 1x is 7x. I need this to be 5x because b is 5x. So that is not going to be my answer. Let's check this one now. We're going to make our rainbow again. What is 2x times 1? 2x. What's 3 times x?
3x.
3 times x is 3x. What is 2x plus 3x? 5x. And that's our middle term there, 5x. So this is our answer. But we got to keep the 6. I almost forgot. Oh my gosh. Woo! So many steps to keep track of, guys.
Well,
This will get easier. That's why I gave you 50 practice problems.
Oh, no.
Okay, so this is a tough one. This is not my goal for you to understand today. If you get this today, you're ahead of the game. Excellent. Excellent. If not, don't worry. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. But that's how you do this. That's how you do this.
I think he likes dressing up out of it.
I guess. I'm not trying to. Okay, here, I'll let you see it.
Can we go back to 2?
Yes, let's go back to number 2. Yes, please.
Could you do this on the, question that we crossed out? Would that be applicable?
Which one was it?
The example 2 that we crossed out, would that be applicable on that, or would it still not be
Let
able
me
to?
see. On this one,
Yeah.
I would have to do some trial and error and make sure it would work. So some quadratic expressions actually cannot be factored at all. And some can. We're only looking at ones that can be factored, but I don't know off the top of my head. You could try it and see. It might work. It totally might. But let's get back to what we were doing with the greatest common factor. If that got you confused, guess what? I want you to empty it from your brain, pretend it never happened. We're going to go back to what we're talking about. Okay? All right. Back in. Let's look at number 2.
I know that you're divided by 6.
Oh, yes. How did you know we were going to divide by 6 here?
You get 6 out of those.
Yes. So as a rule of thumb, guys, here's the other thing we want to talk about. In these problems we're learning how to do today, we want our A to be 1, meaning we want the number attached to x squared to be 1. The only way for it to become 1 is if we can divide that beginning number by itself. So we have to be able to divide everything by 6 for this process we're learning today to work. If it cannot be divided by that first number, then we're not going to do it today. Okay? So let's, focus in on just the ones that can be divided by A. So we're dividing everything by A here. What's 6 divided by 6? 1. So we've got x squared. What's 18 divided by 6?
3.
3.
X
3x.
multiplication.
Oh, that's all right.
Plus 2.
And then, 12 divided by 6 is 2. And remember, keep track of your GCF. We factored out a 6, so it needs to stay to the side so we don't lose it in our answer.
Factors of 1 and 2.
Yeah. What are the factors of 2? Just 1 and 2. I'm going to write this out.
The x plus 1.
Can we still do it like we put the number and then make the 2? Or do we gotta write that back?
You don't have to write the whole word factors of 2. You could just write 2. I'm just doing this because I noticed whenever I was walking around the room yesterday and looking at some people's work, I think some of us were confused about what the numbers in here meant. And we were writing things that didn't make a lot of sense. So I'm just trying to be really intentional about showing everybody what this means. So these are the factors of 2. You could just write 2 and make a T-chart. Okay, so we know 1 times 2 makes 2, or 2 times 1. Either one works. So let's make sure that it's going to add up to B. Our B is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're in great shape. So remember, our answer is going to be x with something in parentheses. X with something in parentheses. And what am I forgetting here in my answer? My 6. Okay, what are my numbers here?
Plus 1 and x plus 2.
Plus 1, plus 2. That's my answer. So guys, if you're going through these problems, for example, number 5, my leading coefficient is 12. I can't divide all of these by 12. So if you're confused about what to do next, don't do it. We will get to these tomorrow. Okay? Only do the problems that you know you can do. Like number 3. Let's do number 3 together. Can I divide all of these by 10? Yes. So let's do it. Divide by 10. So let's see. This is going to give me 10 on the outside with x squared plus 2x, because 20 divided by 10 is 2. And then 10 divided by 10 is 1. Oops. Oh, okay. All right. So I know my answer is going to be 10 times x in parentheses, x in parentheses. What are the only factors of 1? 1 times 1. So I know my answer is going to be x plus 1, with a 10 on the outside. Is that making sense to you guys? Yay. Yay. That's our answer. You're going to get to a point where you don't even have to draw the T-chart. It will become second nature. Yes, Michael?
So the 7 kind of where you want.
Yeah, let's look at 7. Okay, so 7. Can I divide all of these by 16?
No.
Okay, no, then don't worry about doing it today.
Okay.
We'll do these tomorrow. If you want to try it, go for it, but I don't want to confuse everybody else yet.
You go like 4 or.
Yeah, let's look at 4. Can I divide everything by 8? Yes, let's do it then. Okay, so 5 by 8, 5 by 8, 5 by 8. And I'm going to have in parentheses here, x squared. What's 24 divided by 8? 3. X. 16 divided by 8? 2. So now my answer is going to be 8 in my 2 parentheses with x inside. What are the factors of 2? Just 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 makes 3, so it works. So what am I writing in my parentheses? Plus 1 and plus 2. That's it. That's your answer. Okay, guys. Pretty good. So I'm going to go through and circle the problems that we don't need to do today. And I'm going to let you guys work through these and try them on your own. And I will be around for help for those of you that are confused. But before I set you guys off and let you do it, let's make sure that we know which ones we don't need to do. So like we don't need to do 5.
7.
We don't need to do 7.
6 seems to be the same thing.
14. No, we can do 4. We can do 6.
Yeah,
Can we divide everything by 14?
I might do 14. I mean 6.
Because I can take 14 divided by 14. I can do.
No, I did 7.
Oh, 7. Yep, yep. Not 7. Perfect.
No, I mean 6. I divided it by 7.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see now. Oh, man. Yes. So we want to only do it if we can divide everything by A. In this case, we're going to pretend A is the GCF. So let's see what else we got.
13.
13. Can we do 8? Can 54 be divided by 18?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I believe you. I don't know my multiplication facts, obviously. 13 we can't do. Let's see. 14 we're good. 15 we're good.
Okay, you're coming.
Let's see. Actually, you can do 20. We can divide everything by 42. It's a big greatest common factor, but it'll work. Okay, so we can't do 7 today. We can't do 5. We can't do 13. Now I'm going to flip over to page 3 of our worksheet.
Does 7 do 17? 13.
Oh, 13.
13, yeah. 13. Everything else you should be able to do. 21 is good.
Number 27.
27, you said? Okay. Let me double check.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We cannot do 27 today. Unless you're just amazing at math. And I'm looking at page 4 now. The last page now, you should be able to do everything on page 4.
They're all good.
And somebody said page 5 is good too? I really do. Okay. If anybody runs into one they're not sure about, let me know. But I think on this practice packet of all these worksheets, I think the only ones that we may not be able to do today, unless you just catch on really fast and you are feeling like an overachiever, it'll just be number 7, number 13, and number 27. So don't worry about those 3 today. What I am going to have you guys do is go through this packet, start trying to work these out on your own, and I'm going to come around the room and help you guys. If any of you are having trouble when I get to your table, that would be a great time to tell me, and I am happy to sit with you and make sure that you are feeling good about it. So I'm going to pause this recording while we work. Yes.
You have the answer.
I do. I'll bring the answer sheet around too.
You have a stapler?
Pause.